Okay, great. So welcome. As I mentioned today, our topic is on the skilled trades for the handful of students on the call. I know many of you have attended our previous sessions. We're going to start with a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to go into an overview, a summary of our conversation that was in the What is the Built Environment on the skilled trades, and then hear from our three wonderful panelists on today's call. So first, for the housekeeping, I do ask that if you're on the call and not speaking at the moment, you please mute yourself to keep our recording as best as possible. In addition, there is a chat box feature that is located in most computer views on the upper right hand, where you can make any comments. And at the end of today's session, we will be taking questions. The best way to ask questions is in the Activities button. Located next to your time, you will see a triangle, square, circle button. Click and there's a Q&A session. That's where we'll be pulling questions from at the very end. So as mentioned, we're going to go over a little bit of an overview of what are the skilled trades from our What is the Built Environment conversation. So as a reminder, our skilled trades is with our contractors. As we mentioned, they're normally broken down into two groups: construction managers or the general contractors, and the skilled trades or the subcontractors. Today's conversation is going to focus a little bit on both, likely, but heavily we're going to focus on the skilled trades. As just mentioned, the skilled trades, referred to as the subcontractors, are the men and women who perform the work necessary to physically build the building. Some of responsibilities of skilled trade workers can include reading plans and scoping out work for their specific trade, estimating their portion of the work, following the plans and schedule, creating shop drawings, installing all the work according to the codes, plans, and specifications, and distributing resources. So there's a variety of different trades that fall under this umbrella. In a minute, we're going to hear from a few panelists that represent some of the trades. But I'm going to go over a list of a wide variety of them, which again is not all inclusive. So the first is concrete workers. They usually lay the foundation of a building. Carpenters, who build items such as the structural framework, as well as install cabinets, doors, and hardware. Bricklayers and roofers, which enclose the building. Electricians, who install the power systems and the lighting. Mechanical or HVAC contractors that install the heating and air conditioning systems. Plumbers that install toilets, sinks, tubs, and all of the pipes that lead to them. Insulators that come behind them and protect the building and its pipes and ductwork. Glaziers that install the windows and other glass finishings. Drywall contractors to install the walls. And finishing trades to do things like paint, carpet, tile, and flooring. So as mentioned, this is just a handful of the skilled trades. We're going to hear from representatives of the industry, like our past panels today. So this is where we're going to transition. I'd like to welcome, we have Mickey, Larry, and John, who I'm going to give a second to introduce themselves. I'd love if you could talk a little bit about who you are, your current role in the company you work for, and what skilled trade your background is in, particularly what they would do on a job site, similar to as I mentioned on the presentation. So just as it appears on my screen, I'm going to start with John.
All right, so I'm actually in a little bit different role now. I'm not working for a contractor. I'm actually a membership development representative for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 24. We supply the electricians for the jobs. We are a manpower labor union, so it's a little different. We're not actually a contractor out there installing the work, but we supply the manpower to contractors to install the work. I'm new in this position. I've only been here since August. Graduated apprenticeship, electrical apprenticeship 3 years ago. and just transitioned into this role since August. So it's all new to me. So I'm just coming out of the field and into the office.
Great, thank you, John. Welcome. And Larry.
How you doing? I'm Larry Fulton. I am an assistant shop foreman for M. Nelson Barnes and also a sheet metal instructor for ABC Greater Baltimore. My trade responsibility is fabricating, installing heating, ventilation, air conditioning, duct systems, and accessories in commercial buildings. M. Nelson Barnes is a mechanical contractor. We've been doing plumbing and HVAC, well, plumbing for 111 years, and they started doing HVAC in the 60s. So glad to be a contributor on the panel.
Thank you. Welcome, Larry. And Nikki.
All right.
How you guys doing? I'm Mickey Glenman. I'm a project manager with GE Tignal. We are also a mechanical contractor. We are responsible for insulators on the job, sheet metal guys, plumbers, HVACR guys, steam fitters, and all the way down to building control systems. So we run the gamut of we are a subcontractor, but then we have multiple subs underneath of us. And I'm also a ABC graduate from 2000 and also a past instructor with ABC.
Welcome, Mickey, and welcome to all of our panelists. As I said, thank you for being here. We are going to go back and start from the beginning. A lot of the students that we are reaching through ACE Baltimore and Build Your Path, included on the call today, you'll be seeing this recording, are trying to navigate which direction they want to go, whether it be in the built environment, which we hope, and even more so specifically, which route that will be. So I want to start by asking you all a little bit about how you became interested in skilled trades, your particular trade, or the industry as a whole. What kind of sparked that interest in you? John?
All right, sure. So back in high school, my mom, she worked for a life insurance company in the office. I got a job in the summertime back in high school, helping in the office. I know it wasn't for me going to an office. I didn't think, and now I'm in it now. But at the time, I didn't want to do anything in the office. I wanted to be outside, in the elements. My dad was a pressman for the Baltimore Sun. My uncle was an iron worker at a local 16. I had grandfather was a steam fitter. So a pretty strong trade family. That's kind of how I got into it. I decided that, college really wasn't my path. Not that I wasn't a strong student, just didn't want to commit to a university or college. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go, and I thought the trades were the best decision. I actually started in ironworkers. I was an ironworker for many years, and got out of that in 2008 when the economy got pretty bad, and then did a couple things for myself, and then, like I said, I got into this apprenticeship in 2012. So here I am, and then this has grown into now being in the office again. So it's a little different, but I get to get out on jobs, so it's not behind a desk all the time. So that's the benefit to it.
Thank you, John. And Larry, if you could talk a little bit about how you got interested.
Well, I was one of those kids that's always like working with his hands. Like from as long as back I can remember, I always enjoyed working with my hands. When I was in high school, I was in a program that allowed you to work for 2 weeks and go to school for 2 weeks. And they let you pick the career of your choice. I chose construction. The closest thing they could find in construction was window installation. I did that for a little while. Unfortunately, they went out of business. And eventually, around the age of 22, I found the sheet metal trade. My uncle was a foreman at Allstate Sheet Metal. And so happened I had a couple of other uncles that was into the trade as well, and got me a job at Allstate. And started out as a helper in the shop, came to work every day on time, proved myself. They saw my potential and put me in an apprenticeship program. That's how I got started 18 years ago.
Great, thank you. And Mickey?
So growing up in Baltimore City, I had a bunch of friends that had older brothers and uncles and fathers that were all in the trades, from union electricians to union carpenters to open shop plumbers and what have you, from windows and sidings guys to everything. So in our neighborhood, we had somebody that could help you fix whatever was wrong with what you had going on. From if you had a roof leak, Joe down the street could take care of it. If your faucet needed change, Terry down the street could take care of you. So seeing these guys growing up that they all didn't work together, but they all worked very similar things, so they could help each other when needed, and or for side work or what have you. But everybody just working with your hands and being able to take a problem and solve it, on your own was pretty inspiring to me. That's the way I wanted to go.
Thank you. I think there's a common theme in there that you all were able to see others in the trades and see yourself following that same path. Our purpose here today is to hopefully show students on the call and our ACE Baltimore Build Your Path students that this is an option for them. I wanted to take this moment to kind of pause and say that, we are here as a resource to help any of our students that are listening talk about options in the skilled trades. We'll talk a little bit about further resources at the end, but I also want to mention, while we have a wonderful panel here today, there might be a particular segment, for instance, if there's any women on the call that would like to speak to a woman in the skilled trades, we're here to connect you. There's a wide variety of people in the industry. And so I appreciate that common theme, because that's exactly what we're trying to do, is show students the possibilities that the skilled trades offer. I want to kind of segue now into, you got interested, you all discussed that it was very common in the high school age, and what were your steps to enter? I know a few of you kind of mentioned that or alluded to it, but maybe go into a little further into what that apprenticeship was like that you all participated in. I know different ones, but what that process was like and how you entered the industry and the trade you're in now. John?
Sure. I'll talk about this apprenticeship, the electrical apprenticeship. So for me, the process was I started a little bit later in life, a little bit older. I'm 33 now. So I was about 24. It wasn't fresh out of high school. Kind of wish I would have. But I kind of had to backtrack a little bit and get my high school transcripts, get some stuff together, verify that I had taken Algebra 1 in order to qualify for our apprenticeship. Once I did all the application process, and I had to take a aptitude test. And once I passed the aptitude test, then I was scheduled for an interview. And once I had the interview and I was accepted into the apprenticeship, school started. The first 2 years of our apprenticeship is day school. So you go 8 hours a day every other week for the first 2 years. And then after your second year, your third, fourth, and fifth year, it's night school. Third year is Tuesday and Thursday, and fourth and fifth year is Monday and Wednesday night from 5 to 8. It's a little bit different. You get to earn money, a paycheck, and go to school, so you're not committed to school full time. And then working a part-time job, you're actually working a full-time job, you're going to school part-time. So that was convenient. School was very challenging. It's not easy, but all in all, and with our program, and I'm sure with ABC, you receive college credits. I'm not too familiar with ABCs, but I believe you do. And with our apprenticeship program, you receive college credits while you're going to school too. So that's a benefit. If I want to continue on, I would have received college credits through our apprenticeship program, and I can put them towards something else. So, yeah.
Thank you. Larry, if you want to speak a little bit about, your steps, how you actually entered into the sheet metal apprenticeship and what that was like.
Well, I didn't know anything about the apprenticeship until I was working in the shop, and we had this job that had like 27 floors. It was all fiberglass ductboard, and I was a helper. I was helping the guy. The guy quit because he was the only one who knew how to do it. So I was like, I could do it. So I was like their best friend until that job got finished. But through that situation, I took advantage of the opportunity to put me in school, and I got involved in the ABC. And again, like John said, you need like your transcripts and everything. Had to backtrack. The minimum requirement was a GED or a high school diploma and be able to pass a math test. It worked out great because it was 2 nights a week, 6 hours a week, Monday nights and Wednesday nights, depending on where you went. And it was 52 nights a week. And again, it was tough, but it was worth it. It was the best thing I did. Every year, like so many months, I got pay increase, and I was able to learn, at night and take that same knowledge and apply it during the day on the job. So it's like the best thing. And you're not finishing the 4 years with a bunch of debt, and you coming out making money. You hit the floor running. It's one of those things. So ABC is great.
Thank you. And Mickey, a little bit about your story.
Same thing. Got out of high school in 95 and went into the apprenticeship in 96, and 2 nights a week. And in that 4 years of apprenticeship school, you got additional certifications. You got a backflow certification from the plumber side of it. And then, of course, you had an OSHA 10 and, other training that goes along. We did a gas fitter school where in your third year, you actually got a Baltimore City gas fitters license. So, which was nice because you got a license prior to even getting out of apprenticeship school. You had a license tangible. You were a licensed gas fitter in the city of Baltimore, which transfers around to the state. So, again, like John was saying, you do get college credits. I used the college credits when I got out of school and not right away because I was young and had a lot of stuff going on, and didn't have the time to commit to community college. But that's what I did years later in 2004. So 4 years after I graduated, and those credits are still there waiting for me. And I used, I believe, 22 general education credits towards my construction management degree. So, those are free credits. They're earned by you through the apprenticeship, and most companies I know pay for your apprenticeship anyway. So it's free education. So it would be to everyone's benefit, no matter what trade school you go to really look into that, because it's the benefits are immense.
Thank you. I want to, mention, I'll bring this up again at the end, but on Thursday's webinar for our students on the call, we will be focusing the whole time on understanding more about the apprenticeship programs. Both ABC and IBW will be focused in that session, as well as another. And we'll talk all in all about the benefits of apprenticeship, as well as your different options locally here in Baltimore and Maryland in general. So if this past conversation interests you, please make sure you attend that session. Now that we've heard a little bit about the background from you all, our panelists, about kind of how you got to where you are now, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your specific role, or if you would like to speak a little bit about, your role, a multitude of roles that you had following the apprenticeship. Now is a great time to do so, as well as the company that you currently work for and what kind of job sites that they're on. For some background, our students have heard from a lot of different built environment professionals a little bit about the different industry sectors in terms of type of work, commercial, residential. There's been a whole learning series here on that. So talk a little bit about what your company focuses on, as well as your specific role. John, I'll pass it over to you. I know it's a little different in your current role, but yeah.
So prior to the role that I'm in now, during the apprenticeship, I worked for a electrical contractor. We did mostly, I'm not gonna say high voltage, but building power, not the necessarily like branch circuit stuff, but bringing the power into the building. So I was with them for about 4 years, and we did like a rotation. And I went into a building automation contractor. So with us, we represent, voice data visual workers, regular electricians, sign workers. So it's a multitude of things that we can get into. So it's not necessarily just changing light bulbs and receptacles and switches and stuff like that. So after I worked for the electrical contractor, I moved on to the temperature controls, and it was more of a control side. So I was in and out of school systems a lot. I had a service van, working for them, and then I also was a teacher I was an instructor at our apprenticeship at nighttime for 2 years prior to coming into this position now. The position I'm in now is kind of like membership development. So I'm out talking to people, trying to get them to join our program, the apprenticeship, and as journeyman level workers. So I'm not really too into the construction side anymore.
No, thank you, John. I think that does show, the level of range that just starting in an apprenticeship, you don't know where you're going to end up. We hear a lot from, in our past panels, we heard from, individuals who started out saying they were going to be an architect and ended up being project managers on commercial sites, and just a wide range of getting in the industry and how many opportunities there are. No matter where you start and where it interests you at this moment, you don't know where you'll end up. Such as your story, John. So I love that. Thank you. Larry, if you want to talk a little bit about your current role and responsibilities and the company you work for.
Again, I work at M. Nelson Barnes Mechanical. They are plumbing and sheet metal. I work on the sheet metal side as the assistant shop foreman. I started out in the field and eventually ended up in the shop as the assistant shop foreman. The sheet metal trade has two components. That's the shop and the field. For the most part, the field send in drawings for us to make, and we fabricate, and we send it back to the field. The shop job is to cater to the field and get the materials on the job so they can install it. My role in all that as assistant shop foreman, I help run and keep things organized and coordinate with the field and the other shop fabricators to push the work through, as well as running a core line. Our core line is a big machine that flattens the metal up and cut the duct and make flat sheets of metal for the plasma cutter. I also run the plasma cutter. My job is also to maintain and do maintenance on everything. And I mean, it's nothing. I'm not above or beneath anything. My job is everything. So from inputting fittings in the computer to knocking duct together, and if they need me out in the field for installation, I'm doing that too. And occasionally I help the plumbers. So that's about it.
Thank you, Larry. Wide variety. Probably, every single day is not the same. It sounds like with that amount of roles and responsibilities. Mickey, could you talk a little bit about your role currently?
Sure. So GE Tignal's a mid-sized mechanical contractor that does a lot of office buildings and schools and government contracts. So we do everything from hanging water coolers in a school for the students to take drinks out of, to hooking up commercial kitchen equipment, to putting in a 500-ton chiller to provide cooling for a building, or a data center that has like a high heat load for servers and what have you. So my role is as a project manager and estimator. When the job comes out to bid, we do the takeoff, we put the bids together, and we go everything from once we secure the bid to purchase equipment and schedule equipment for when it's needed on a job site, when the men are needed on a job site, because you go from when a job's just starting, you might need 5 or 10 men, to when a job's in full swing, you might need 30 guys. So it's a balancing act, and you're like the conductor of the band. That when you need 10 guys, you got to have 10 guys. You can't have 2 and you can't have 20. So you've got to kind of finesse your manpower around, your equipment around, and us having subs work for us, we have to make sure that the subs are right there with us, with their equipment, their manpower, and it's a balancing act for sure.
Thank you, Mickey. And it shows that, again, a wide variety of types of jobs as well as responsibilities. Moving on that same line, take an opportunity, if you have like a favorite project you work on. The common theme that we've also been talking about in our series is how beneficial it is to work in the built environment industry. And in that way, how everyone can relate to passing a job that you worked on and being able to say, I played a part in that, and seeing the actual stamp that you're putting on the city or town or community that you worked in, and how rewarding that is. Our East Baltimore students get a little taste of that with the projects that they work on, and being able to see how that relates to the community. John, as your time in the apprenticeship, is that you would want to highlight, or a specific task maybe on a job that you've particularly enjoyed?
So I think every job is enjoyable. I really don't have a specific, favorite. When you show up to an empty lot, and then 6, 8 months, 12 months to a year later, you're finishing up out there, and you're changing the skyline of Baltimore City, or things are starting to come together, and everything's working. That water fountain works now, when it was just nothing there. And with us, you flip the switch and the lights come on, or this happens, and but I think that kind of seeing something come together and finish production. I'm having a hard time with that now, transitioning to the office. I don't have that production based mentality. I don't get to see something start to finish. So I think the whole seeing something from the ground up is, really, I think that's the most enjoyable part about it. So.
Thank you, John. And Larry?
I'm a second John, where I say I don't have no specific special job. I'm gonna say each job have its own unique challenges, and solving problems is the favorite thing to do. So the sheet metal trade allows me to do that. And it's different being in the shop. We sending stuff out. We'll start sending all the big duct out. Then we start sending the branch lines out. Then we start sending the diffusers and stuff out. So that kind of lets the shop know, even if you're not paying attention, how far along they are on the job site. So But for the most part, it's everything. Again, the shop is a little different. One of the beauties of working in the shop in the sheet metal trade is laying out. And it's like a skill. It's like a skill that you got. It's like a dying skill because you got everything. You got the plasma cutters, you got computers, and everything is about getting it done fast. It's about productivity. But occasionally you may have to lay something out, and that's probably my favorite thing to do overall. So again, it's different in the shop. They know.
Thank you for that perspective.
You're welcome.
So I would say, we work on a variety of buildings, from schools to industrial plants to what have you. And just some of the piping differences, from steel pipe to fiberglass pipe to plastic pipe to new cutting edge things that, when I started in the trade 25 years ago, we didn't have, to what I see now. And I when I started 25 years ago, I would look and say, man, back in the day, those guys were really working. They were cutting and threading 8-inch iron pipe, for roof drains. And now it's a different system. However, just the technology advances in the piping that we use and the way that it's fabricated and assembled is pretty interesting. But as far as favorite type of job, I'd say a school. And it could be any type of school, from a middle school to a high school to a college, because if it's replacing a school or it's brand new and the school hasn't been there yet, when the students walk in, they get the best of the best. They have technology that they didn't have before, and they have, heating and cooling, which some kids don't have before. The schools are really probably my more dear to heart jobs, just because I know the difference it can make 20 years from now for these students going through the schools.
Thank you. It's that way with a lot of jobs, but I think the schools is probably also the most relatable to our students on the call. They can see, and if you look around, your school building when you're back in session, being able to think of all the different skill trades that played a part and all the different built environment professionals that played a part in making that possible is a huge way to understand the vast variety of and opportunities there are in the built environment. Before we head into our last question, I want to, for everyone on the call, this is the opportunity for you to place any questions in that Q&A feature. A reminder that is in the activities button located to the left of the time on the top right-hand corner of your screen. If there are any questions, we will take them after our final panelist question. So to the panelists, this is an opportunity for you to give any advice or what you would look for when you are hiring somebody or enter the apprenticeship, depending on the role in which. For our high school students, what would you say that your best advice or things that they could do now to prepare themselves for those roles moving forward? John?
Sure. I guess the best advice I can give is if you're not happy, try something else. You don't have to go and just say, oh, I want to be an electrician. And if you don't like it, try something else. Go do ductwork, go do plumbing. Don't just settle and not be happy. Also be prompt. Take in as much as you can, learn as much as you can through the apprenticeship. If you do decide to go through an apprenticeship, just take it all in, learn from the older guys. It'll be your best bet. Get through it. Just be prompt, take notes, learn as much as you can as you're going through it.
Thank you, John. Thank you. And Larry?
I would like to say, just while you're in school, pay attention and soak up all that education you need, all that education, because those are the tools you're going to need when you leave that building and step into the real world. And you've got to be reliable and dependable. That's one of the main things that everybody look for. Come to work, ready to work every day and on time. Show some initiative. Just, come to work ready to work. I mean, the trades for me, it was probably the best thing that happened to me. Like John said, this might not be for you, or college might not be for you. Find something that's for you and apply yourself. That's it.
Thank you, Larry. And last but not least.
So I have 3 things, and one of them is be able. And able is dependable and accountable. Be dependable, be where you need to be when you're supposed to be there, be accountable. Mistakes happen. We make mistakes every day. You try to minimize the mistakes. You try to have the mistakes be as small as possible, but mistakes happen. So when a mistake happens, be accountable. And then the last thing is the attitude. If you have a positive attitude, a can-do attitude, you'll go where you need to go. If the attitude is negative, or you do make a mistake and you say, well, it wasn't me, it's not going to get you very far. Accountable, dependable, and the right attitude will get you leaps and bounds going down the right career path.
Thank you. What a great way to end that. I think those are such strong, for all our panelists, strong advice for our students moving forward. At the time, there are no questions, though I will be, hopefully able to answer any that come through as our students watch the recording. I want to take the moment to remind everybody that Thursday is our apprenticeship conversation. So I hope this sparked your interest, and then we will take this and go one step further into your next steps on entering an apprenticeship or skilled trades training on the conversation this Thursday, November 12th at 3. I want to thank all of our panelists again. John, Larry, Mickey, I can't thank you enough for taking your time to talk a little bit about your story and talk to our students about what they should do moving forward. So I appreciate your time and energy. Also, thank you to ABC for helping coordinate this, and IBEW. We look forward to continuing the conversation Thursday. Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.